You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
That's not true. That's impossible.
So welcome to the National Space Centre. It's Festival of the Force Galactic Gathering. We have a very special Rebels reunion panel with our three guests. Would you like to introduce yourselves, because you will do it far better than I will? Vanessa.
Hi there, I'm Vanessa Marshall. I played the voice of Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels, and I'm thrilled to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. I played Governor Pryce in Star Wars Rebels. # sorry, not sorry.
Steve Blum, voice of Zeb Orrelios in Star Wars Rebels, and a bunch of stormtroopers that I tend to beat up.
So a question to all of you. Of all the episodes that you did, that you're involved with, are there any that really stick with you for whatever reason it may be? A funny moment when you recorded it, a moment for your character that really stuck with you. Is there anything that really stands out? Not. I don't need episode titles, but just just a moment that really stuck with you.
Well, it would have to be, and I'm hoping that everyone has seen the show, but I'll try and keep it slightly.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, #spoilers. There's a pretty pivotal moment that my character facilitates, which is very sad. And I've never been in a room where Dave, I didn't know that was going to happen. And Dave ripped out part of his script and came in and gave me just like 2 words, which was fire, I think. And to have that moment, and they had very wisely put me on one side of the studio. So the rest of the family was all in the other side. So I was sort of facing sideways, and to watch the reaction, because we had to do that moment. And then it was really Vanessa's reaction to what had just happened. And I just kind of wept in the corner, and I felt so awful and guilty that, I didn't write it, but it's just that this character had basically initially destroyed this family. And it was just, that's when I saw the connection. It was always there, but to see that connection in that moment was just insane between not only the characters, but the actors as well. And I've never really been a part of something like that in a cast group, definitely like individual records, but to see that happen was really mind-blowing. And it's just brilliant storytelling. That's what Dave does, and what Lucas, infused in George Lucas infused in Dave is the element of storytelling and great stories, and being a part of something that's that beautiful and well-written and sort of life-changing for us. That was a pretty amazing thing. And plus just getting a chance to talk to Moff Talk. I mean, it was just like, it was just beautiful. Beautiful. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Vanessa.
Yeah, I would say when Hera got to fly the B-Wing,
oh yes,
that was when she talks about the value of flight and what it's meant to her, and that she feels most alive in the air. My father was in the Air Force, and he got his pilot's license after he retired being a TV news reporter for NBC here locally. And I'll never forget flying with him in his open cockpit biplane and doing aerobatics and all these things. And, I just heard the wind going by, and he looked like Snoopy with the goggles and the whole thing. And so when she spoke about flight, it just reminded me of how my dad would say those things. And I dedicated that scene to my dad, and I let him know when it was on, and I sent it to him. And it was not only a special moment with my Star Wars family, because it's a B-Wing, but also with my father, it touched him. I don't know that he's as into Star Wars as I am. I mean, obviously he respects it and so on, but it created a bonding moment for me with my dad. And I've seen that a lot with, dads and their Star Wars collections, they're finally able to bring them out now that their daughters are watching Rebels, and they have all these iconic female characters to look up to, Sabine, everybody. And, so it was nice to have one of those organic moments in my own actual family of origin. So it had many, many ripples and its impact was felt everywhere.
Yeah, I can well imagine. Steve?
So many moments. How do you choose one? The one that comes to mind most of the time would certainly be the moment on the moon with Callus, as we're kind of finding forgiveness in our lives, and it was such a poignant moment for me, and I've spent the last 20 years of my life looking for forgiveness for myself and for other people who have wronged me. And for all the dastardly deeds I may have done, knowingly or unknowingly. So to be able to work on some of that healing in the context of a cartoon was something I wasn't used to. Very, very deep thoughts went through my head during those moments. But the other thing, the full juxtaposition of that with the comedy of Star Wars that I thought was so beautifully laced in with our show brought me back to the original New Hope. Moments like Zeb becoming Jupa bait and not knowing until the creatures coming after him. Those kinds of things. Melu runs, the search for the Melu runs, flying a TIE fighter with my feet. I mean, it was just so beautifully done. It wasn't to the point of silly, but it was enough of that wonderful comedy to break that tension for the moment, and then we go deep again. And for me, that's if you can do that successfully in a story and use that to carry the story forward, that's brilliance right there. And to get to play in all of those areas as that character was so much fun.
Hi, this is Guy Henry, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks. Enjoy.
You're all involved in other franchises, other IPs. What sets Star Wars apart? Apart from the fact it's got this crazy lineage and there's so much of it that interweaves with other things, what do you think it is about Star Wars that sets it apart? I'll start with you, Mary.
The fight for good, the fight for balance. I think it's really, for me, being a Libra, it's the fight for balance. There's balance in the Force, but the whole thing is out of balance and constantly trying to find its center. It's the hero's story. It's Joseph Campbell. There's so many deep rooted things that George Lucas initially tapped into to create Star Wars, and to have not only just a story about there is balance between strong male characters and strong female characters and everything in between and beyond. So it was all inclusive immediately, which I thought was sort of fantastic. And then just for me, searching for balance, and the force that binds us all together, So that's for me.
Steve.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I think that the way the dark side of the Force is embraced as an integral part of the whole is something that was articulated in Star Wars better than I think in pretty much any other franchise I've worked in. We always have the hero and the villain, but Star Wars kind of helped me to understand that there is evil in the world, but without that evil, we have nothing to compare it to with the good, and that there is always hope, and never to give up. Also, just as a young kid growing up watching Star Wars, it gave me a little bit of faith in humanity again, at a time when I was very apathetic, just coming out of high school, seeing that for the first time, and it resonated with me as an apathetic 17-year-old. So I figured if it did that, it's probably doing that for other people too.
Vanessa.
Well, I am also a Libra, so I very much identify with what Mary said. And what I've found is that there's room for everyone in this Star Wars family. There's room for Sith. There's room for Jedi. We can all find our own balance. And I think that's important. Like you were saying, the inclusivity is pivotal. And also having studied Joseph Campbell I care very much about the hero's journey and stepping up to the plate and taking that risk and finding powers you didn't know you had, all those wonderful things that we get to watch these characters evolve into. And as a collective, I feel like it's healing for all of us. There's something very sacred about it, and it binds us like the Force. And I have never felt so close to so many strangers in my life.
Do you think you guys get the credit? I mean, wave the flag for voice actors. Do you think you get the credit that you deserve for the performances that you put in, especially as it goes into this huge pool of Star Wars that we all enjoy? I'll start with you, Steve.
I probably get more credit than I deserve. So we do now, for sure. I mean, back in the old days, we certainly didn't. It was we were looked down upon as voice actors. It was kind of the gutter work of the entertainment industry. But since the advent of these worldwide conventions, people have actually come out of their closets and basements and rooms to express their love of the things that they love. And as a member of the voice acting community, we've always embraced them in a way I think that other parts of the entertainment industry have not. And we're truly grateful to be part of this family, however dysfunctional it may be. So we've gotten so much love from around the world in the real world, in convention space, and also in social media. Of course, there are always going to be the haters, but they're so vastly outnumbered by the support of people who are open to expressing their love for us and for what we've done with the characters that have meant so much to them.
Yeah, well said. The negativity is completely drowned out by the love, as it should be. Mary, how do you feel about that?
Well, just to piggyback on what Steve said, I mean, it's just, I think maybe as we get older and more mature, and we realize that as actors, we're always focused on the I, right? And my line, BS, my line. And as we get older, we realize, and I think COVID had a lot to do with this, when we started doing sessions remotely and over Zoom, and letting the actors in on the conversations that we were having behind the glass about character, script, story, everything else. It was just easier because I do a lot of directing as well. And it was just easier to have the actor listen to this. And then all of a sudden they get out of the I space and they get into the we of storytelling, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's happening more and more and more and more. And now with this sort of globalization of content and being able to reach each other and see what's happened in the past, there's less ownership of this was my role and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, no, we're telling a story. And I know I've been saying that a lot this interview, but it is all about storytelling. And I feel like as we're realizing that we're all a part of this big group, that the appreciation for voice actors has risen as well, because it is a form of storytelling. It's not just I'm telling my I mean, it's we're being legitimized just by the fact that we can all see it now, and that we realize, we're a smaller, gorgeous, beautiful golden cog in this giant machine that's trying to tell this story. So, and I think the appreciation for the live action back to the voice actors, just like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that and continue that story. It's a great story. So.
Yeah, I echo all the same feelings. I mean, usually we're quite invisible, and I actually prefer invisibility to a certain extent. But we were so front-facing, as Steve said, at Star Wars weekends. People had no idea who we were, and yet they were already embracing us. And that sort of set the tone for the remainder of the journey. And the San Diego Comic-Con thing was, Entertainment Weekly, all these things, and press circles. And I have never been a part of anything with so much visibility. And I feel like we, from the get-go, even before we even did anything, we were already getting credit. Yeah. Hopefully we deserved, I don't know, as Steve said, maybe more than we deserve, but yeah, but I feel that it is universal. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Mary for everything you did for Star Wars Resistance. You casually mentioned that you direct, but your storytelling, it was just so beautiful. And thank you. Excellent work. I mean, so you go from, this to that, to even into that part of being involved with the storytelling is just I really thank you for all you did. Mwah.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
Question for Steve. It's from Tamara Salt. And the question is, Zeb originally appeared in the new Mandalorian season for a brief moment. Will we ever see him reunited with Hera, Ezra, and Sabine? I want more Zeb, please. Smiley face. So answer that as much as you can.
I would love to see that, but the Filoni chip is starting to blink in my neck, and I will eviscerate my head into my head will just explode into rainbow foam if I say anything. I don't know anything. Anyway. Dave is very good at keeping us in the dark, so I know exactly as much as you do, and I appreciate the support, and I want to do it again. So, Dave, if you're listening, please hire me and bring me in to do some more.
I have another question. This is for all of you. It's from William Thomas Sawyer, and the question is, who do you think was the most crazy character, and why is it Chopper?
Highest body count in Star Wars. Highest body count.
True.
Yep.
Intergalactic criminal.
The next question is, it's another question for all guests. It's a tough one. It's from Dean, and the question is, and it's another Chopper question. Who would win in a fight, IG-88 or Chopper?
Chopper.
Chopper fights dirty. Yeah.
Chopper.
Dirty. Yeah.
All day.
Very great. I'm swilling that question now because that's so obvious. A question for Steve from Sam. Well, it's a reiteration of the previous. Are we going to get more live action Zeb? I don't want you to get into trouble, Steve. So we're going to dodge that question. But it's a general question for all of you, and I guess we can kind of tweak this question. It's a question from Emma, and it is: are we going to get to see you all again somewhere else in the Star Wars universe? So I guess if we expand that question, would you guys be happy, interested, intrigued by playing a different character in Star Wars? I'll start with you, Vanessa.
I would love to, honestly. Sure, I'll do anything. A droid, anything to continue to be a part of the family. I don't care. Definitely.
Was that Linda? What was that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I got to play Linda, the stormtrooper.
Oh,
We were in the studio
if there was an entire show about Linda's stormtrooping, I think
we were pilots. I think in that episode, you and I were in the other room, and we were pilots. And Dave was like, "What are we doing?" And Vanessa was like, "I could do Linda," and I was like, "You have to do Linda." So we're gonna
let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, I fell in love with Linda. She was awesome.
Yeah,
she was
awesome.
Handy. Yeah. Well, I played Freya Fenris in Resistance, and I've gotten to play a number of droids in some of the Lego stuff that I directed for them as well. So it's always fun to sort of throw in there. I played NIL8, which is great. I'm a villain robot called Annihilate, and it was so fun. So yeah, I'll take any bones they throw my way.
Me too. I just love playing in the Star Wars universe. I've played. It's always been a joke for me since working on the games. Since their inception, basically, I was 1/3 of the Stormtroopers. There were basically 3 guys who were doing all the Stormtrooper voices back in the day. So in every incarnation I've gotten to play Stormtroopers, I always cross out however it's labeled and I write Stormtrooper number 3 because that's mine. But they've let me do that in some of the movies too. I've gotten to play creatures and droids and troopers in Solo and Rogue One and Rise of Skywalker. They're so kind to throw us those little bones, and even if they're little teeny tiny characters that have a 30-second lifespan, I'll take it every time. My goal, though, I think, is to play a gonk droid. That's what
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's it like being in those groups when I'm friends with Dave Collins, so when you're doing these voice characters, background voice characters, how much latitude do you get? How into the conversation do you get? Are you in universe when you're talking? Give me a little bit of background on how that works.
Steve,
didn't you do some Aqualish in what was that? I don't know. They were like, Steve, handle the Aqualish, and he was like, "Oh, great."
Yeah, I actually had
what was
notes.
that?
No, I was speaking in actual Aqualish. I actually had notes about that. I did my research. But the most fun little thing that I got to throw in, well, there are two things. One was Carabast. I tried to put Carabast in all the movies that I worked on. Generally, I would record them in that room, but then other members of the cast would do them as well. And I don't even know if my version of it landed, but there are Carabasts in a lot of the recent productions.
Nice.
But the other thing that I really loved doing, and it did land in the movies, was saying everybody's name who was in that room to make it sound like Aqualish or Huttese or whatever. So, I'd be in there and go, Maria Elizabeth, and I would do that sort of thing. So it would sound like I'm speaking another language. Vanessa Marshall. And it was all mixed in like these crowd scenes in the villages and things. And all of that landed. It was all in there. It's all mixed in, so it's very hard to hear. But a few fans have picked some of that stuff out. Deep Bradley Becker. It was great. So everybody got a call out. Everybody in the room that I was working with got a call out, including Collins.
Oh, brilliant. That's some good ears for the fans. That's some very good ears. Yeah. I have another question. This is from Cassian Jordan, age 11. He made sure to put down age 11. And it's another Zeb question, so it's for you, Steve. What are your thoughts on the way that your character was portrayed in the live action film? He means in The Mandalorian. So what did you make of the visual of seeing Zeb in that sort of 3D world?
It was beautiful. One of my big concerns was, how are they going to pull that off? Because it is such a complicated character, almost has a simian walk to him. We didn't see him walk too much in that, but it's definitely not a human character. And to have pulled that off so it lives and breathes and looks like it belongs there, I was screaming when I saw the character design for it in live action. As a fan, I was so excited. Anytime a character gets fleshed out like that, better than my expectation, I'm always surprised, because we worked on a lot of cartoons throughout the years where we do these great performances and they animate them so inexpensively, to be kind, that the movements are janky, the characters don't look right, the mouth isn't working right. To see something like that that's fleshed out so beautifully that I believe it's authentic. What a joy to witness that.
Great question here from Malika. It's for Mary. Do you think there is a softer side to Pryce, and really she's misunderstood? She goes home to a loft cat and listens to jazz by Cy Snoodles. In reality, do you ever build an internal backstory to help develop your relationship with the characters? I guess that question can kind of go to all of you. But Mary, do you think that she was misunderstood? She was a kind-hearted soul. There was, was there anything of that in there?
No, Dave. Dave came up to me and said, Mary, Governor Pryce has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And I was like, fantastic. But I remember I forget which convention we were doing a panel, and it was all of us together. I think it was recent. I don't know if it was in Nashville or, and they said, is there anything about your character that we don't know? And I was like, well, Governor Pryce loved karaoke. So she would just sit in her quarters and sing karaoke all the time. Somebody's yes, mostly Taylor's. Now I'm down bad crying at the gym, and
we need an album.
No, I don't think she had. I think the book that about Thrawn sort of lays out where she came from, but at this point in her life, no, she was hell hath no fury as a woman seeking power, and that's what she wanted in a very obviously male dominated, not to get all soapboxy, but so she was fighting for no one but herself, and she had a very high opinion of herself. How about that? Yeah. That's a good thing. She really believed in herself a lot.
That's a positive. The self-confidence, that's a positive.
Yes. Positive.
Vanessa, did you ever, your character became very well fleshed out, and of course there was kind of a background to the character from Clone Wars with Cham, but did you ever build up any history yourself, little quirky bits for yourself?
Well, I was very grateful. John Jackson Miller's book, A New Dawn, describes how she met Kanan. That really, really helped me quite a bit. And not to mention the sort of history that Dave presented to us with, this is the spaceship, this is where you sleep, this is blah, 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 and you came from here. And, Hera sort of gathered all these people to create this motley crew. And so it was laid out before me, some research I did on my own. But all the Twi'leks that I had, well, of course, Aayla Secura is obviously a Jedi, but most of them have been Jabba the Hutt dancers. So it was kind of cool to have a Twi'lek that was much like her father, Cham, quite a skilled fighter and a strategist and on and on. So not that the dancers weren't strategizing, but I just, it was interesting to look into the history of Twi'leks and all that good stuff.
And Steve.
Yeah, well, when Zeb first entered the scene, he was just the muscle. That's how they introduced him. And my hope and my little fantasy was that he would become more than that and become kind of a brother figure and be a little goofier too as we went along. And all of that happened. Dave, that was all part of his master plan. So anything that I had concocted in my brain actually was realized. The only thing that I've sort of added on to that is sort of in the after times when Zeb and Callus are happily farming Melu runs on Lyrasan together. Maybe making Melu run gummy bears to sell throughout the galaxy. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi, this is David W. Collins, voice actor for Star Wars and sound designer at Skywalker Sound. You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
We're nearly out of time, but it's the May 4th weekend right now. We're at the National Space Centre on the big screen. Is there anything, and I'll go around all of you, is there anything you'd like to say to the people in attendance, given that also we're approaching the 50th anniversary of Star Wars? We're not that many years away. It's something that we all love, that people will travel to and congregate and make a big deal of because they love it so much. So starting with you, Mary, is there anything you'd like to say to the people in attendance this weekend?
Isn't it so cool that we all get to love this together? I just think that it's amazing. Don't let anyone ever yuck your yum. If you love Star Wars, fly that flag high and proudly, and just know that we're as much of a fan of what we're doing as you guys are. And thank you for coming along on these rides with us, because we're on the roller coaster right there with you, and also, in dark times, you got to remember that, there's always hope. So hang on to that and have a great weekend, and may the 4th be with you, but may the 5th also, darlings.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Steve.
Just to be part of this universe is such an honor and a privilege, and to be part of this family it means so much to us. I would get up early for this any day of the week, and I'm not an early riser. We started 7 a.m. here in Hawaii, and that's very out of my box, but I'll go there. I will go there any day of the week with you guys. We are a family together, and that's one of the things I love most about Star Wars, is that whether we are on this side of the camera or out in the audience, we are all the same. We are all one, and we're all on this journey together. So thank you for taking it with us, as Mary said, and may the Force and the Ashla be with you.
Brilliant. And Vanessa, finally.
I would say we have hope that things will get better, and they will. Thank you for having us. We love you, and may the 4th be with you always.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic. Loved it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Visit fanthatracks.com or be sure to comment, like and share on our social media feeds at Fanthatracks. Send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com. Subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Temple for composing the Fanthatracks intro, Anna O'Brien for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. Tune in to Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings, 9 o'clock UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And check out our Fanthatracks Radio Friday night rotation every Friday at 7 o'clock UK time for new episodes of The Phantom from Down Under, Planet Layer, Desert Planet Discs, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Cannon Fodder, and special episodes of Making Tracks, and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock UK time for your weekly episode of Making Tracks. And remember, Fanthatracks.com, our social media feeds, Fanthatracks TV and Fanthatracks Radio are absolutely so no Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Kickstarter or Indiegogo required to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.